আনে
নাহে কেন আনিবে না এই উগ্র স্থানে
বড় কৃপা কইলে কৃষ্ণ রজস্তম গুণেরা সভয়া ছনা
রাজস্তমো গুণায়েরা সবয়া ছনা
वासुदेव कथा रुचि नाहे से प्रसन्ना
वासुदेव कथा रुचि नाहे से प्रसन्ना
गुरु कृपा कोइले कृष्णा तबे जागी तब कृपा होए आहै तुकी
तबे जागी तब कृपा होइया है त्युकी
सकल संभवा होए तुम्ही से कौतुकी
सकल संभवा होई तुमी से कौतुकी
बड़ो कृपा कोइले कृष्णा कि भावे बुझले तारा बुझे से रसा
कि भावे बुझले तारा बुझे से रसा
एता कृपा करो प्रभु कोरी निजा बसा
एता कृपा करो प्रभु कोरी निजा बसा
बड़ो कृपा कोइले कृष्णा तुम्हारा इच्छाया सब होए माया बसा
तुम्हारा इच्छाया सब होई माया बसा
तुम्हारा इच्छाया नाशा मायारा परसा
तुम्हारा इच्छाया नासा मायारा परसा
गुरु कृपा कोइले कृष्णा तब इच्छा होए यदि तादेरा उद्धारा
तब इच्छा होई जादी तदेरा उद्धारा
बुझिबे निश्चय ताबे कथा से तुम्हारा
बुझिबे निश्चय ताबे कथा से तोमारा
गुरु कृपा कोइले कृष्णा भागवतेर कथा से तबावतारा
भगवतेर कथा से तब अवतारा
धीरा हैया सुने जादी काने बारा बारा
धीरा है ये सुने जादी काने बारा बारा
गुरु कृपा कोइले कृष्णा धनेरा प्रति किलागिया नीले हेता कोरो एबे गति
Translation. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here, otherwise why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered with the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because of you. You are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I'm simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have become under the control of illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only they will be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17 to 21. Hari Bol.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Thank you very much, Prabhuji Matajis. Please practice this bhajan. It's a very nice bhajan that Prabhupada has composed during this journey in Jaladuta. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 The rest of the shlokas you can sing along with me. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva
Naram Jaiva
Narottamam
Narottamam
Devim
Devim
Saraswati
Saraswati
Vyasam
Vyasam
Tatodiyam
Tato
Udire
Jayamudire
Ashtaprayashu
Nastapradeshu
Abhadreshu
Bhadreshu
Nityam
Nityam
Bhagavata
Bhagavata
Sevaya
Sevaya
Bhagavati
Bhagavati
Uttamaśloke
Uttamaśloke
Bhaktir
Bhaktir
Bhavati Naistiki
Bhavanastiki
Krishnaya
Krishna
Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya
Devaki
Devaki
Nandanaya
Nandanaya
Cha
Cha
Nandagopa
Nanda
Kumaraya
Kumaraya
Govindaya Namo
Govindaya
Namaha
Namaha
Namah
Namah
Pankaja Nadhaya
Pankajanabhaya
Namah
Namah
Pankaja Maline
Pankajamanine
Namah
Namah
Pankaja Netraya
Pankajanetraya
Namaste
Namaste
Pankajantraye
Pankajantraye
Namo
Namo
Mahavadanyaya
Jaya
Krishna Prema
Krishna
Pradayate
Prasthayate
Krishnaya Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Namine Gauratvishe Namaha Namo Brahmanyaya Devaya
Brahmadevaya
Go Brahmanya Hitaya
Brahmadevaya
Cha
Cha
Jagadhitaya
Jagadhitaya
Krishnaya
Krishnaya
Govindaya Namo
Govindaya Namo
Namaha
Namaha Namo
Namo Vishnupadaya
Vishnupadaya
Krishna
Krishna
Prasthaya
Prasthaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimate Bhakti
Srimade Bhakti
Vedanta
Vedanta
Swami
Swami
Namine
Namine
Namaste
Namaste
Saraswati
Saraswati
Deve
Devi Gaurava
Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha
Nirvishesha
Shunyavadi
Shunyavadi
Paschatya
Paschatya
Deshatarine
Deshatarine
Jai Shri
Shri
Krishna
Shri Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhara
Gadadhara
Srivasadi Gaura
Srivasa
Bhakta
Gaura
Vrinda
Bhattacharya
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Rama Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Rama
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 Hare
Rama
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama Hare
Rama
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 Hare
Rama Hare
Hare Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangham Langhayate Girim Yatvatamaham Manje Sri Gurum Dinataranam Sri Paramananda Madhavam Ishwaram Pavitra Paritva Sarvavastanga Topiva Yasmani Rekaksham Sabahya Bhyantar Sri Guru Vishnu Hare Krishna Prabhuji's Mata's Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for joining today's class, Srimad Bhagavatam. As you know, we are reciting Bhagavatam chapter by chapter, canto by canto. Right now we are at Canto 2, chapter 9. Last week, Anandana Prabhu beautifully explained chapter 8, which is titled as Questions by Parikshit Maharaj. And in this chapter, 8th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj inquisitively inquires from Sukadeva Goswami about the glories of Harikatha and asks a lot of questions about Lord and Jiva, Soul and Super Soul, and then about Kala, Karma and other topics. So those are all explained in 8th chapter, and the answers for those questions are revealed in these further chapters, starting with chapter 9. Chapter 9 has around 46 verses, and it's a beautiful chapter, very important chapter, and we have to study each verse, each line of each purport very carefully. So I don't want to rush through. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to go through half of the chapter up to 23 verses, and tomorrow Lavish Prabhu, His Grace Lavish Prabhu, will continue the chapter and do the other 23 verses. Out of the first 23 verses, the first 3 are very, very important, and the purports have to be read again and again. You know, I at least read 2-3 times and still contemplating on it. So all of us will learn it together. All of us will recite together, read together these first 3 verses. So how is the chapter divided? The first 3 verses are the answer to the question of Parikshit Maharaj about material body and the soul, which is asked in the last chapter, 8th verse, 7th verse. And next verses 4 to 8 are setting a platform for Brahma's and Lord's conversation. Because as you know, previous chapter explained that Brahma has born from the navel of Lord Vishnu in the lotus flower, and he has been imparted the Vedic knowledge in his heart by the Lord. And once Brahma realizes, he wanted to find out where he is born and where is this knowledge coming from. So he starts searching through the stem of the lotus flower. So he's going to, this 4 to 8 is going to explain how Lord is our Brahma searching for the Lord, and what kind of sounds he hears and how he achieves the Lord. And he does tapasya, and by the Lord gets pleased by his tapasya, and the verses 9 to 18 explain how the Lord shows Brahma the Vaikuntha Loka, and it explains very clearly how Vaikuntha Loka looks like, how the inhabitants look like, and the beauty of Vaikuntha Loka and other residents of Vaikuntha Loka. So 9 to 18 explain the beauty and the details of Vaikuntha Loka and how Brahma gets so much joy and ecstasy by looking at all that. And then 19 to 25, and the 19th sloka begins with the Lord being very pleased with Brahma because of his penances, and he asks for benedictions. He says, Brahma, please ask for anything you want. And we'll see what Brahma asks and how it goes through and what Brahma replies. And that's where we'll end today. So this is the overview of chapter 9 and what we're going to do today. So this is the first verse of chapter 9. So we'll recite this together and the purport as well. First I'll recite, and then I'll ask one Mataji and Prabhuji to recite it, and then we'll read the translation and purport. Hare Krishna. Sri Sukha Uvacha Atma Mayam Riterajan Parasya Anubhavat Atmanaha Na Ghater Artha Sambandha Swapna Drishtir Ivanjasa. Sri Sukha Uvacha, one more time I'll repeat again. Atma Mayam Riterajan Parasya Anubhavatmana Na Ghater Artha Sambandha Swapna Drishtir Ivanjasa. Prabhuji, one Prabhuji, can somebody recite?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I do?
And Dr. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Sri Sukha Vacha Atmamayam Vrate Rajan Parasyanubhavatmanaha Nagate Tartha Sambandha Swapna Drashtur Ivanjasa.
Haribol, Haribol. Thank you, Prabhuji. I think it's easy to recite if you see the synonyms. And one Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Okay. Read Mataji. Okay.
Sukavacha Atma Mayamrite Rajan Parasyanubhavatmana Na Ghate Thartha Sambandha Swapna Drashtur.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. We'll start with translation. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O King, unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. The relationship is just like a dreamer seeing his own body working. More time. Translation. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O King, unless one is influenced by the energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. The relationship is just like a dreamer seeing his own body working. So this is the question that is asked in 2.8.7. O learned Brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this? For it is known to you. So this is a question that is asked by Sukadeva Goswami. Now we'll go to the purport. Okay, we'll read paragraph by paragraph and then try to understand it. So, can someone, Mataji Prabhuji, read the first paragraph, please?
Shall I, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna. Purport. Maharaja Parikshit's question as to how a living entity began his material life, although he is apart from the material body and mind, is perfectly answered. The spirit soul is distinct from the material conception of his life, but he is absorbed in such a material conception because of being influenced by the external energy of the Lord, called Atma Maya. This has already been explained in the first canto in connection with Vasudeva's realization of the Supreme Lord and his external energy. The external energy is controlled by the Lord, and the living entities are controlled by the external energy, by the will of the Lord. Therefore, although the living entity is purely conscious in his pure state, he is subordinate to the will of the Lord in being influenced by the external energy of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, also the same thing is confirmed. The Lord is present within the heart of every living entity, and all the living entities' consciousness and forgetfulness are influenced by the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, if you look at the translation very carefully, what Sukadeva Goswami is saying is, because of the influence of the external energy of the Supreme Lord, the living being thinks the body and the soul are same, right? They think this is my body, this is me, but there is no connection between the body and soul. Soul is eternal, body is temporary. Only because the influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's energy, which is the external energy, which is the Atma Maya, which is called Maya or illusion energy. No, the soul thinks, the Jiva thinks, I'm this body. They don't know the conception of soul at all, only because of the Maya. And it is explained in the first paragraph also that he is absorbed in the conception of materialism because of Maya as well. And this is called Atma Maya. And in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, can anybody tell me what is this sloka? 15.15?
Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtha.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So, Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly says, I am the one who is imparting smriti, remembrance, jnanam, knowledge, and apohanam cha, illusion. Everything I am imparting to you because of my energy. And in the pure consciousness of the pure state, that means when the Jiva is in the pure consciousness, he thinks everything is same. But when he comes to the material world, he has this conception of, hey, this is me, I am living here, I am the Lord, because of the influence of the external energy of the Lord, right? So let's go further and understand more about this concept. Can somebody read the next paragraph, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, please read.
Now the next question automatically made will be why the Lord influences the living entity to such consciousness and forgetfulness. The answer is that the Lord clearly wishes that every living entity be in his pure consciousness as a part and parcel of the Lord, and thus be engaged in the loving service of the Lord as he is constitutionally made. But because the living entity is partially independent also, he may not be willing to serve the Lord, but may try to become as independent as the Lord is. All the non-devotee living entities are desirous of becoming equally as powerful as the Lord, although they are not fit to become so. The living entities are illusioned by the will of the Lord because they wanted to become like him, like a person who thinks of becoming a king without possessing the necessary qualification. When the living entity desires to become the Lord himself, he is in a condition of dreaming that he is a king. Therefore, the first sinful will of the living entity is to become the Lord, and the consequent will of the Lord is that the living entity forget his factual life and thus dream of the land of utopia where he may become one like the Lord. The child cries to have the moon from the mother, and the mother gives the child a mirror to satisfy the crying and disturbing child with the reflection of the moon. Similarly, the crying child of the Lord is given over to the reflection, the material world, to lord it over as karmi, and to give up this in frustration to become one with the Lord. Both these stages are dreaming illusions only. There is no necessity of tracing out the history of when the living entity decides this. But the fact is that as soon as he decided, he was put under the control of Atma Maya by the direction of the Lord. Therefore, the living entity in his material condition is dreaming falsely that this is mine and this is I. That dream is that the conditioned soul thinks of his material body as I, or falsely thinks that he is the Lord and that everything in connection with that material body is mine. Thus, only in dream does the misconception of I and mine persist life after life. This continues life after life as long as the living entity is not purely conscious of his identity as the subordinate part and parcel of the Lord.
Beautifully explained by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, it is explained that in the spiritual world, in Vaikunta, we are part and parcel of the Lord, and we are serving the Lord, and we are in the pure consciousness. Now, the question comes, how come we are here in this material world? And why is it told that material world is Dukhalaya Ashashvatam? What are we doing here? What brought us here is explained here very clearly. So, and why the Lord's Maya, illusion and energy, external energy is influencing all of us. Obviously, the Lord wants us all to be with him. Like a father wants his sons and daughters, all his kids to be with him, enjoying. Like that, Lord wants all of us to be with him, to be as part and parcel of him and engage in his loving service, which is how we are constitutionally made. That's how we are made. But, just like because we are part and parcel of the Lord, and we attain a little bit of qualities of him. And one of the qualities is independence. And if the Lord is possessing so many qualities and there are 100%, we attained a small portion of that. One of the qualities called independence. And because of that small independence, and the Jiva chooses to be independent and not willing to serve the Lord kindly provides the way for the Jiva to be independent. Right? Because the Lord wants all of us to be, freely choose him with love, not by force. So because of so he grants all of our wishes. And one of the wishes that this Jiva have chosen at one point of time in the spiritual world is, I want to be independent. I want to enjoy like you. And because of that, Lord created this, with this external energy, he created this material world and he put us under this. And again, what did he do after that? He wants us to be frustrated of this and then go back to him. So he creates all these things. He creates all of these beautiful things and then puts a frustration along with it so that we realize that we don't belong here. And that's why at every point of the step we are here, it is always, some kind of pain, misery we understand, we get into, right? It is explained very nicely here that somebody or one of the living entities desires to be a king, and the Lord gives us the condition that we believe that we are kings, even though we are not kings, right? So he puts us into the dream kind of condition. And so how does he do it? He puts us in this world and everybody here thinks I can lord over things and I can do things on my own. And he creates an illusion. And even though we don't have the quality of the king, it is being provided to us. Another example, beautiful example given, a child cries for the moon. Of course, he cannot get the moon. And what does the mother do? The mother gives a mirror and shows the reflection of the moon. Similarly, the material world is created as a reflection of the spiritual world, and everything is given in the reflection to the living entity. This point, is very important. A lot of people ask, when did the soul become independent? What happened? So Srila Prabhupada clearly says, Prabhuji's Mataji, we don't need to worry when that happened. But what we need to worry about is, now that we are here, how do we go back? So there is no necessity of tracing of the history of when the living entity desired this. It can be any time, but it so happened that we desired it, the Lord granted it, and we are here. Now that we are here, and now that we have knowledge that is given to the scriptures that we are here and this is not the place for us, let's all think about how to get out of this place. Right? That's what is told in many, many lectures to us as well, but it is very clearly explained in this purport here. Right? And in this condition, the living entity always dreaming falsely that this is mine and I. That is what is used a lot. I am the expert, I am the doctor, I am the philosopher, I know everything. This is mine, this land is mine, this house is mine, right? This is all dream condition, right? It is like getting scared of a tiger in a dream, right? You get dream, like typically I am little scared of elephants, and I get dreams in elephant, that elephant is chasing people. And the moment I wake up, no, I feel I know that it is not true. But similarly, that is what all the living entities are kept in the dreaming condition. You dream of a lot of things, but you know that when you wake up, it is not true, right? Similarly, all the things that is provided is in that condition, and that people are thinking it is all true, but it is not true. It is temporary, but it is all illusion. Okay, the last paragraph, I'll read it. In his pure consciousness, however, there is no much misconceived dream, and in that pure consciousness state, the living entity does not forget he is never the Lord, but he is eternally the servitor of the Lord in transcendental love. So in the pure consciousness, in the spiritual world, or even here, when somebody attains this pure consciousness, they will realize that we are eternally servitor of the Lord, and we work towards that for the transcendental love. So also in the ISKCON Desire Tree, there is a beautiful explanation of the same sloka by Srila Prabhupada, the soul's fall, it is called, and I would like all of us to read this as well, because there are more explanations given so that this is easily understood. So let's read this also. Okay, can somebody read? Can you guys see this? I will highlight a part. Maybe somebody can read this. Prabhuji Mataji, can somebody read it?
It is little bit more.
Many
Prabhuji?
people inquire.
Can I make it a little bigger?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. How is it now?
Okay, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay.
Little more.
This part, can somebody please read?
Go ahead, Prabhu. Lowest one.
Hare Krishna. Many people inquire, how did the living entity who was with Krishna fall into the material world? That question is answered here. The living entity's condition is simply the influence of the material energy. Actually, he has not fallen. An example is given. The moon appears to be moving when clouds pass in front of it. Actually, the moon is not moving. Similarly, the living entity, because he is a spiritual spark of the Supreme, has not fallen. But he is thinking, I am fallen, I am material, I am this body. The body has no connection with the soul. We can experience this. The body is changing, dying, but I am the same. The idea that we have a connection with the body is due to the handling of the illusory energy of Krishna. That illusory energy develops when we forget Krishna. In other words, our illusory identification with the body is simply due to our forgetfulness. We wanted to forget. We wanted to give up Krishna and enjoy the material world. Therefore, Krishna is giving us the chance. For example, when you play a part in a drama, if you feel I am king, then you can talk very nicely. And if you feel I am Karandhara, then you cannot play a king so nicely. The feelings must be there. If you are playing the part of a king, you must believe you are the king and have this courage. You have to forget that you are a Karandhara. Then you can play the part very nicely, and the audience will appreciate. But if you think simultaneously, I am Karandhara and I am playing the part of a king, then you cannot play. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So one beautiful point made here is, we think we are fallen, but we are not fallen. Fallen in the sense, our spiritual spark has not fallen. Just because in this world we think it is material, I am this body, We think we are fallen, but original consciousness, pure consciousness, we are not fallen. And the body has no connection to the soul. We all experience this, right? Dehinosmini adha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara. That's a beautiful sloka. It says, body is changing, dying, but I am the same, right? All because of the handling of the illusory energy of Krishna. And Prabhupada explains very, very beautifully here. We wanted to enjoy here. We want to be a king. So Krishna provides a drama for us. And in that drama, he also makes us to feel that we are the king. Because unless until you have that feeling, the director makes an actor to really feel it, like he puts glycerin so that they really cry, right? Otherwise, you won't be able to really cry, right? And the feelings won't come. So he'll make sure that he creates a situation so that you play the part. Like Karandhara, I think, is the name of the person here. So you can't think that I am like Praveen. Then I can't play the role of a king very nicely. So I have to go into that role, very, very nicely. And that's where you see that so many actors act so well because they just get into the role for that time being, right? And that's what happens when you are here. And people really play the role very, very well. And that's what you think people see, that people are like really thinking, oh, I am this, I am that, this is mine, that is mine. And that is what the living entities wanted, and Krishna provided so nicely. Okay, let's read a few more paragraphs. Can somebody else read this highlighted part? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
A disciple in the audience. So because we wanted to play the part of Krishna, the enjoyer, Krishna is giving us the chance. You feel like me. The feeling that I am Krishna, I am God is created by Krishna. All right, you want to play the part of a king? I shall train you in such a way. The director of a play tries to create the feelings from within you for the part you are playing. In my younger age, I played in a drama about Lord Chaitanya. Our director, Amritlal Bose, repeatedly said, especially to me, feel like that. So when we performed under the direction, all the people in the audience were crying. The play was artificial, but the effect on the audience was so nice. Similarly, we have nothing to do with the material world, but we have been trained by the illusory energy in such a way that we think I am Indian, I am American, I am a Brahmana, I am a Sudra, I am that, I have to do this, I have so many duties. These are illusions. We have nothing to do with all this nonsense, but still we are taking this very seriously. I have to do like that, I am this, I am that. That is explained here. Atmamniyam rite rajan parasyan bhavat manah. Unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So the same thing I explained here. Lord has created the world and made us all play our roles so beautifully because that's what we wanted. Okay, we'll continue reading this. One more, Prabhuji or Mataji, can they read this part, highlighted part?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please.
Just a minute. The example is given of a man dreaming, oh, there is a tiger, save me. He is crying. An awake man observing may say, oh, wait. My screen got struck. Sorry, Prabhuji. May say, are you crying? But the dreaming man is actually feeling the tiger has attacked me. Therefore, this example is given. Na ghate tharda sambandha. There cannot be any meaning of the relationship of the soul and the body except that it is like a dreaming man creating a situation. He is dreaming there is a tiger and he is creating a fearful situation. Actually, there is no cause of fear. There is no tiger. The situation is created by a dream. Similarly, We have created the material world and the material activity. People are running around, oh, I am the manager, I am the factory owner, I am this, I am that. We know his politics. We have to defeat our competitors. All these things are created just as a man creates a situation in a dream. Swapna Drustar Ivanjasa. So, when someone asks, when did we come into contact with the material nature? The answer is that we have not come into contact. By the influence of the external energy, we think we are in a contact. Actually, we are not fallen. We cannot be fallen. We have simply created a situation. Rather, we have not created a situation. Krishna has given us a situation. Because we wanted to imitate Krishna, Krishna has given an opportunity. All right, you want to imitate, you want to be an imitation king on the stage, so feel like this, play like this, do like this. People will applaud. Oh, a very nice king. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Madhu. Thank you very much. So, as I explained, people are running around thinking, I am the manager, I am the factory owner, I am this, I am that. And people are thinking, oh, I have this company, I have to defeat the competitor. All these things are created by the Lord himself. And the situation is created by Lord so that we are satisfied with our ask. And the Lord created this situation for us because he wanted us, we wanted to imitate Krishna. So Krishna gave the opportunity, he trained us also. Right? He says, okay, play like this, do like this, people will applaud. So you will really be happy. So Krishna has done so much, just for that little minded independence we have. And all that is because of minded independence. That small independence is made us into all these miseries, right? So let's all realize that the fact, and then let's all realize that we are the pure consciousness. We have the pure consciousness of the soul, and we can go back to the Godhead and serve the Lord eternally. Let's see if there are any points we should read here. Otherwise, we'll go back to the second one. But please go back and read this afterwards. It's very, very nicely explained by Prabhupada. Yeah, this is the second shloka. Okay, let's go to the second shloka. Two 2.9.2. Bahurupa eva bhati mayaya bahurupaya rama mano guneshwasya mamaham iti manyate. Translation. The illusioned living entity appears in so many forms offered by external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the mortal material nature, the encaged living entity misconceives thinking in the terms of I and mine. Purport. So this purport specifically explains different kinds of species that a living entity gets engaged into the body of those living entities because they desire so. And Prabhupada explains how many kinds of living entities are there, what kind of desires will get you that kind of body. Can somebody read the first paragraph of the purport, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
The different forms of living entities are different dresses offered by the illusory external energy of Lord. According to the modes of nature, the living being desires to enjoy. The external material energy is represented by her three modes, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. So even in the material nature, there is a chance of an independent choice by the living entity, and according to his choice, the material energy offers him different varieties of material bodies. There are 9 lakh varieties of material bodies in water, 20 lakhs vegetable bodies, 11 lakhs worms and reptiles, 10 lakhs forms of birds, 30 lakhs different bodies of fish, 4 lakh human forms. Altogether, there are 84 lakh varieties of bodies in different planets of the universe. And the living entity is traveling by so many transmigrations according to different modes of enjoying spirit within himself. Even in one particular body, the living entity changes from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth, from youth to old age, and from old age to another body created by his own action. The living entity creates his own body by his personal desires, and the external energy of Lord supplies him the exact form by which he can enjoy his desires to the fullest extent. The tiger wanted to enjoy the blood of another animal, and therefore, by grace of Lord, the material energy supplied him the body of the tiger with facilities for enjoying the blood from another animal. Similarly, a living entity desiring to get the body of a demigod in higher planet can also get it by the grace of Lord. And if he is intelligent enough, he can desire to get a spiritual body and enjoy the company of Lord, and he will get it. So the minute freedom of living entity can be fully utilized, and the Lord is so kind that he will award the living entity the same type of body he desires. The living entity's desiring is like dreaming of a golden mountain. A person knows what the mountain is, and he knows also what gold is. Out of his desire only, he dreams of golden mountain, and when the dream is over, he sees something else in his presence. He finds in his awkward state that there is neither gold nor a mountain, and what to speak of golden mountain. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the point here is, Prabhuji's Mataji's, there are two choices we're making here. One, fundamental choice that I want to be independent. Immediately Lord grants it and he puts us in this material world. The second choice also we can make, which is like, hey, I want a body of a tiger because I want to drink the blood of an animal. And then there is a choice that Lord is giving us to get engaged into any of these living entities that he created and in multiple planets of this universe. And the souls transmigrates based on the choice. The third very important point is either we can make a choice to become one of these entities, or we can make an intelligent choice to go back to the Lord. And we can use the same freedom to desire his company. And then the moment we realize that, the moment we think that, the moment we do things that take us in that direction, Lord grants that and we are back to Godhead. And that's what we're trying to do here, Prabhuji's Mataji's. So again, this whole thing is like a dreaming condition. And the Lord provides that illusionary energy so that we can dream about it. But the moment you are awake, it means when the moment you are with pure consciousness, everything is gone. There is no gold, there is no mountain, right? It's all illusion. Now, can somebody read the second paragraph here, please?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The different positions of the living entities in the material world under the multifarious manifestations of bodies are due to the misconception of mind and I. The karmi thinks of this world as mine, and the Jnani thinks I am everything. The whole material conception of politics, sociology, philanthropy, altruism, etc., conceived by the conditional souls, is on the basis of this misconceived I and mine, which are the products of strong desire to enjoy material life. Identification with the body and the place where the body is obtained under different conceptions of socialism, nationalism, family affection, and so on and so forth, is all due to the forgetfulness of the real nature of the living entity. And the whole misconception of the bewildered living entity can be removed by the association of Sukdev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, as all this is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Very bold. Thank you, Prabhuji. So there are two misconceptions of the Jiva. What are those? Mine and I. And what are the categories of people that think this is mine? The karmis that that think they are the people who think this is mine. This place is mine. This land is mine. This house is mine. This those are the people, the karmis, they think that world is mine. And jnanis think that I am everything. I am this, I am that. I'm so and so and so and so, right? And all the material conception of politics, sociology, philanthropy, altruism are conceived by the conditional soul on the basis of these two, I and mine, and a strong desire of enjoying the material nature. Because only because of that reason they are thinking, this is mine, I will enjoy this, this is mine, this is mine. And identification with the body and the place where the body is obtained under different conception of socialism, nationalism, family affection, and so on and so forth is all due to forgetfulness of the real nature of the living body, which is again granted by Lord. Matasmurtir jnanam apohanam cha. Because we asked for it, he gave that forgetfulness that, we are the pure soul, and he gave us this false conception that this is mine, this is my body, and this is what I want to enjoy. And how can we get out of that? We'll read it in the third shloka. Yarhivava mahimni sve parasmin kalamayayo rameta gata sammohas tyaktvo daste tadobhyayam. Translation. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested in the pure self. Purport. Let's read the purport. Prabhuji, Mataji, can somebody read the first paragraph?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
The two misconceptions of life, namely I and mine, are verily manifested in two classes of men. In the lower state, the conception of mine is very prominent, and in the higher state, the misconception of I is prominent. In the animal state of life, the misconception of mine is perceivable even in the category of cats and dogs who fight with one another with the same misconception of mine. In the lower stage of human life, the same misconception is also prominent in the shape of it is my body, it is my house, it is my family, it is my caste, it is my nation, it is my country, and so on. And in the higher stage of speculative knowledge, the same misconception of mine is transformed into I am, or it is all I am, etc. There are many classes of men comprehending the same misconception of I and mine in different colors. But the real significance of I can be realized only when one is situated in the consciousness of I am the eternal servitor of the Lord. This is pure consciousness, and the whole Vedic literature teaches this conception of life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, the two misconceptions we are talking about, I and mine, are verily manifested in two classes of men. One is very low, the lower state of consciousness, which is mine, right? You can see that even in the lower state of animals like cats and dogs. They fight for a piece of meal or a roti that is thrown on the road, right? They just fight. This is mine, this is mine. And they fight for the territory. All the animals have territories. They fight for the territory. Even tigers and lions do that. And at a higher elevation, the human beings think that I is the prominent misconception. Right. So this is it is my body, and there is also misconception in the mind thing in the human beings, which is like this is my body, my house, my caste, and little bit of higher speculative knowledge. Mine is transformed into I am. Right. So somebody who is more, they think more educated and more knowledgeable, they start thinking I am this, I am that. I'm an Indian, I'm an American, I'm so and so. And how do we turn this misconception into the pure consciousness? Is the moment we think I am the servitor of the Lord, I am the eternal servitor of the Lord, instead of thinking I am so and so, the whole thing can be turned completely in the opposite direction. And that is exactly what the literatures and scriptures and all these purports are helping us to think, the elevated consciousness from where we are. Next paragraph, somebody can read this.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, shall I read?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please.
The misconception of
I am the Lord or I am the Supreme is more dangerous than the misconception of mind. Although there are sometimes directions in the Vedic literature to think oneself one with the Lord, that does not mean that one becomes identical with the Lord in every respect. Undoubtedly, there is oneness of the living entity with the Lord in many respects, but ultimately, the living entity is subordinate to the Lord, and he is constitutionally meant for satisfying the senses of the Lord. The Lord therefore asked the conditioned souls to surrender unto him. Had the living entities not been subordinate to the supreme will, why would the living entity be asked to surrender? Had the living being been equal in all respects, then why was he put under the influence of Maya? We have already discussed many times that the material energy is controlled by the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 9.10 confirms this controlling power of the Lord over the material nature. Can a living entity who claims to be as good as the Supreme Being control the material nature? The foolish I would reply that he will do so in the future, even accepting that in the future one will be as good a controller of the material nature as the Supreme Being. Then why is one now under the control of material nature? The Bhagavad Gita says that one can be freed from the control of material nature by surrendering unto the Supreme Lord. But if there is no surrender, then the living entity will never be able to control the material nature. So one must also give up the misconception of I by practicing the way of devotional service or firmly being situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A poor man without any employment or occupation may undergo so many troubles in life. But if by chance the same man gets a good service under the government, he at once becomes happy. There is no profit in denying the supremacy of the Lord, who is the controller of all energies. But one should be constitutionally situated in one's own glory, namely to be situated in the pure consciousness of being the eternal servitor of the Lord. In his conditional life, the living entity is servant of the illusionary Maya, and in his liberated state, he is the pure, unqualified servant of the Lord. To become untinged by the modes of material nature in the qualification for entering into the service of Lord. As long as one is a servant of mental cautions, one cannot be completely free from the disease of I and mind. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is a very big paragraph. I'll try to split it into multiple pieces. So Prabhupada explains Mayavadi philosophy and how it is dangerous in this paragraph. He says the conception of I am the Lord, I am the Supreme is more dangerous than the conception of mind, the misconception of mind. At least mine is, related to yourself, right? This is my house, this is my land, this is my area. That's fine. It is just, just restricted to yourself, and you are not damaging anybody. But the moment somebody thinks I am the Lord, I am the Supreme, there is more danger involved, because he might influence others also thinking like that, and that is more dangerous, is what Prabhupada is saying. Although there are sometimes directions in Vedic literature to think oneself in the Lord, this does not mean that one becomes identical to the Lord in respect. This is something you need to understand. In some rituals, like for example, when you do Rudrabhishekam, you have to invite Lord Shiva into you, and then do the Rudrabhishekam. And that is misconcepted as somebody thinking, oh, I can be the Lord too. But it is very clearly denied here that you can never be the Lord. You can have the qualities of the Lord, maybe for temporarily, or as minute parts and parcel of the Lord, but you can never become one with the Lord. You have the qualities of the Lord, a little bit, Anu and Vibhu, small part of his qualities, but you are never completely, you can never be him. You're always subordinate to. And one other point that is made here is, why will the Lord ask to surrender to him if if at one point we are not serving him, right? People think I am the Lord, I will merge into him. That if that is the case, in scriptures in Bhagavad Gita clearly, why does the Lord ask to surrender into him so that he can come back to him, right? Had the living entities not been subordinate to the will, supreme will, why would the living entity be asked to surrender? Had the living being been equal in all respects, then why was he put under the influence of Maya? These are the two questions that we should ask Mayavadis, right? Mayavadis tell that, hey, currently we are put under this condition. It is like a cloud, but once it is gone, we will become the Lord. And we will never be influenced by the material nature. If that is the case, why are we influenced now under this Maya, right? And if you are God, then why is the God asking to surrender to you, right? These are the questions, and this has been discussed many times, that material energy is controlled by the Lord, right? In 9.10, Maya Adhyakshana Prakrita Suetecha Characharam says everything is controlled by me, and it is very difficult to surpass it unless you surrender to me. That's the sloka here. It says, can a living entity who claims to be as good as supreme being control the material nature? Mayavadis think so, but they cannot, right? The foolish eye would have replied that he would do so in future. That a lot of Mayavadis say, now we cannot control because we are under the influence of Maya, but in future we do. If in future they were able to control, why not now? Is the question. So the answer is they will be never able to control the external energy of Lord, the Maya. They are always under the influence of it, because we are a small part and parcel of the Lord, and we are always a servitor of the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita says that one can be freed from the control of the material nature by surrendering under the Supreme Lord. That is very clear. But if there is no surrender, then living entity will never be able to control the material nature. So one must also give up the conception of I by practicing the way of devotional service. So how do we practice this surrender? Through bhakti or devotional service. So serving the Lord, serving his devotees, right? And firmly being situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So it has to be firmly situated in your mind and heart, right? Example is given here. A poor man without any employment or occupation may undergo so many troubles in life, but if by chance same man gets a good service under the government, he at once becomes happy. There is no profit in denying the supremacy of the Lord, who is the controller of all energies, but one should be constitutionally situated in one's glory, namely to be situated in the pure consciousness of being the eternal servant of the Lord. Right? Once somebody gets a job that is aligned with what he wants, he gets settled, he gets situated. Similarly, for us to be situated in the path of spiritual direction, we need to be situated in the consciousness and start serving him and his devotees. In this conditional life, the living entity is a servant of the illusion energy Maya, and in the liberated state, he is pure, unqualified service of the Lord. Very clearly distinguished here. In this world, we are all serving Maya. In the pure consciousness, in the spiritual world, we serve Krishna. And the moment we are untangled by the material nature, we are qualified to be entering the service of the Lord. We can qualify to go back to the Lord. But as long as you are a servant of the mental concoctions, one cannot be free from the disease of eye and mind. So the way to get out of this is to get out of this mental concoction, speculations, thinking I and mine, and thinking I am the Lord, I can do things, anything. You will never be able to get out of the disease of I and mine. So you have to elevate yourself above this conception of I and mine to really realize our constitutional position and start our journey by serving the Lord. Let's read the next paragraph. Let's read it until this part. Please, somebody read it.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, please.
The supreme truth is uncontaminated by the illusory energy because he is the controller of that energy. The relative truths are apt to be engrossed in illusionary energy. The best purpose is served, however, when one is directly facing the supreme truth, as when one faces the sun. The sun overhead in the sky is full of light, but when the sun is not in the visible sky, all is in darkness. Similarly, when one is face to face with the Supreme Lord, he is freed from all illusions, and one who is not so is in the darkness of illusory Maya. The Bhagavad Gita 14.26 confirms this as follows. Mamchayo vibcharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaityan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So,
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Matri. I will read that. So basically it is saying Krishna and Maya are, Krishna has his energy as external energy of Maya, and that's what we are illusioned by and controlled by. The moment you face Krishna, Maya is behind Krishna, and you won't be able to, you will not be in the influence of the Maya. The moment you are away from Krishna, you are in the darkness of the illusion. So the way to, get out of the Maya is to face Krishna, right? The moment you are in face to face with Krishna, that means you are doing the devotion service, you are doing bhakti, you are following the regulative principles, you are in the association, you are following ABCD, and all that stuff. You are unentangled, you are not entangled by any of the Maya. You are facing Krishna, means Maya is behind Krishna, so you won't be able to, you are not under the influence of the Maya. And how this sloka explains in Bhagavad Gita, Mamcha avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samati ityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So the one who is doing bhakti yoga in the seva bhava, he is elevated from these material gunas and at the brahma bhuyaya, at the Brahman platform, right? And that's what it says here. Let's read the last paragraph. Somebody can read this last paragraph.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
So the signs of Bhakti Yoga of worshipping the Lord, glorifying the Lord, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the right sources, not from the professional man, but from a person who is Bhagavatam in life, and being always in the association of pure devotees should be adopted in earnestness. One should not be misled by misconception of I and mine. The karmis are fond of misconception of mine. The jnanis are fond of the conception of I, and both of them are unqualified to be free from the bondage of illusory energy. Srimad Bhagavatam and primarily the Bhagavad Gita are both meant for delivering a person from the misconception of I and mine, and Srila Vyasadeva transcribed them for the deliverance of the fallen souls. The living entity has to be situated in the transcendental position where there is no more influence of time nor the material energy. In the conditioned life, the living entity is subjected to the influence of time in the dream of past, present, and future. The mental speculator tries to conquer the influence of time by future speculations of becoming Vasudeva or Supreme Lord himself by means of culturing knowledge and conquering over ego, but the process is not perfect. The perfect process is to accept the Lord Vasudeva as the supreme in everything. And the best perfection in culturing knowledge is to surrender unto him, because he is the source of everything. Only in that conception one can get rid of conception of I and mine. Both Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam confirm it. Srila Vasudeva has specifically contributed to the illusioned living entities, the science of God and the process of Bhakti Yoga in his great literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the conditioned soul should fully take advantage of this great science. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So this summarizes this sloka on how to get out of this conception of I and mine and the illusion energy, right? And it says the Bhakti Yoga, worshipping of the Lord, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the right sources, from the disciplic succession, not from a professional reciters, and being in association of the pure devotees should be adopted in the earnestness. That is our immediate need. The immediate need is to listen to Bhagavatam from the right sources, participate in devotion service, be in the association, to get out of this conception of I and mine. The Karnis are fond of the conception of mine, and the Jnanis are fond of conception of I. Both of them are unqualified to be free from bondage. Only when you are out of this conception, you are qualified. And what is given to us to get out of this? Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are given to us by Srila Vyasadeva for the deliverance of fallen souls. And it's also mentioned that the transcendental position where we are in the spiritual world, there is no influence of time or material energy, whereas in the conditioned life, we are always subjected to the time and influence of time. We are always there, past, present, and future. And the mental speculator tries to conquer the influence of time by future speculations, becoming Vasudeva, Supreme Lord, and means of culturing knowledge. Some people think, they are very much scholarly by reading a lot of scripture, Sanskrit, not scriptures, Sanskrit, and then they think very wise and they have a lot of wisdom. And that process will never work, because the misconceptions and speculations are neti, and they try to find out the Lord by asking the question, this is not it, what is it kind of thing. That will never conclude. With the limited amount of time we have, they will never be able to conclude and get to the right process. Whereas the Bhakti Yoga is given a very straightforward process for us to realize God and accept Lord Vasudeva as Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender unto Him. And the surrender soul, the conditioned soul, should fully take advantage of this great science. This is the greatest science that is given to us by the disciplic succession, by Srila Vasudeva, and beautifully put together by Srila Prabhupada. We should take advantage of this. Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya. We should read Bhagavatam every day to remind ourselves that we are not this body, we are the soul, and this is not mine. This is, I am not this, I am not that. That concept has to be there always, and be in the association of devotees and follow the regulative principles to get out of this thing. This is very beautifully explained in the third shloka of this chapter. So from now onwards, we are going to setting the platform for Brahma Lord conversation, and how Brahma is trying to find the Lord. So we'll go a little faster because we are already 8:33. We are just in the third. I wanted to spend a lot of time in the first three slokas. They're very important. All others we might not spend a lot of time, but we'll try to quickly go through the translations. 2.9.4 translation. O King, the personality of Godhead, being very much pleased with Lord Brahma because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma. And this is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul. So Lord was very pleased and presented himself in front of Brahma. 2.9.4 9.5 translation. Lord Brahma, the first spiritual master, supreme in the universe, could not trace out the source of his lotus seat. And while thinking of creating the material world, he could not understand the proper direction for such a creative work, nor could find out the process for such creation. Hare Krishna. So the Lord Brahma is right now trying to find the source of his knowledge, and where is this lotus stem coming from, and he could not understand it, and nor he could find the process of such creation. So he is like trying to search for it. So one paragraph I'll read, and one thing I'll read here, which is important. Even the first spiritual master of the universe was enlightened by the grace of Lord. So who else can attain perfect knowledge of everything without the mercy of the Lord? If anyone desires to seek perfect knowledge of everything, he must seek the mercy of the Lord, and there is no other means. To seek the knowledge on the strength of one's personal attempt is sheer waste of time. So Prabhupada is telling even the first being created by the Lord to create the whole wide world, the first spiritual master of the universe, Brahma, also got enlightened by the grace of the Lord and the mercy of the Lord. What to speak of ourselves, right? What can we think, how can we attain the knowledge without the seva, that Bhakti Yoga that Lord Brahma did to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without that, how can even we think that we will get that kind of mercy? Okay, so he's in the quest of finding out the source. 2.9.6 translation. While thus engaged in thinking in the water, Brahmaji heard twice from nearby 2 syllables joined together. One of the syllables was taken from the 16th and other from the 21st of the Sparsha alphabets, and both joined to become the wealth of the renounced order of life. Can anybody tell me what is the 16th syllable in the alphabets?
Ta.
Ta. Ta. And what is the 21st syllable? Pa. Yeah, ta ta da da na, pa pa ba ba ma. So from the Sparsha alphabets, right? The first syllable he heard is ta, second is pa. It is mentioned in this purport, right? In Sanskrit language, the consonant alphabets are divided into 2 divisions, namely Sparsha Varnas and Talavya Varnas. From Ka to Ma, the letters are known as Sparsha Varnas, and the 16th of the group is called Ta, whereas the 21st letter is Pa. So when they are joined together, the word Tapa or penance is constructed. This penance is the beauty and wealth of Brahmanas and renounced order of life, right? So what is the word Brahma heard when he is searching for the source? Tapa. Tapa. He heard it twice. That means penance, right? Tapa means penance. So we also follow the same philosophy. So after hearing this Brahma, according to the Bhagavatam philosophy, every human being is meant to simplify his tapa and no other business, because by penance only one can realize his self and self-realization, not sense gratification. And what is the tapasya we are doing here? Everything we are doing is tapasya. 16 rounds of chanting is tapasya. Doing Ekadashi Vratam is a tapasya. Consciously trying to attend satsangs is tapasya, right? All the attempts we are trying to get near to the God is tapasya, and only through tapasya one can reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is also done by the Brahma to reach Krishna. We follow the same principle because we belong to the Brahma Sampradaya, directly in the disciplic succession chain from Brahma to Narada, from Narada to Vyasa, from Vyasa to Madhava Muni, from Madhava Muni to Madhavendra Puri, from Madhavendra Puri to Ishvara Puri, from Ishvara Puri to Lord Chaitanya, and gradually to his divine grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, our divine master. One who is thus initiated in the disciplic succession is able to achieve the same result or power of creation. Chanting of the holy mantra is the only shelter of the desireless pure devotee of the Lord. Simply by such tapasya or penance, the devotee of the Lord achieves all perfections like Lord Brahma. So in Kali Yuga, we don't need to worry about tapasya like how they did in Satya Yuga or Treta Yuga, where they used to go to the forest and do tapasya. The tapasya that we can do here is the 16 rounds of chanting. That itself is a big tapasya. Sitting in one place, doing it perfectly is a tapasya, and we have to practice it and perfect it day by day. (2.9.7) translation. When he heard the sound, he tried to find a speaker, searching on all sides. But when he was unable to find anyone besides himself, he thought it is wise to sit down on the lotus seat firmly and give his attention to the execution of penance as he was instructed. So, what was the instruction given to Brahma? Tapa, do penance, do the meditation. So, he searched, after hearing the syllables, he searched everywhere. He couldn't find anything. Then he understood that the instruction is given to him to sit firmly on the lotus seat and then do the tapasya. To achieve success in life, one should follow the example of Lord Brahma, the first living creature in the beginning of creation. After being initiated by the Supreme Lord to execute tapasya, he was fixed in his determination to do it. And although he could not find anyone besides himself, he could rightly understand the sound was transmitted by the Lord himself. So he understood that and started doing tapasya. And right, and he started doing the tapasya. So let's go to the next sloka. 2.9.8 translation. Lord Brahma underwent penances for 1000 years by the calculation of the demigods. He heard this transcendental vibration from the sky and he accepted it as divine. Thus, he controlled his mind and senses, and the penances he executed were great lesson for the living entities. Thus, he is known as greatest of all ascetics. So, he's the first one who did the penance, in the beginning. How long did he do? 1,000 years he did it. Lord Brahma heard the occult sound tapa and he did not see the person who vibrated the sound. And he still accepted the instruction as a benediction for him. And therefore, he engaged himself in meditation for 1,000 celestial years. One celestial year is equivalent to 6 into 30 into 12 into 1,000 of years, of our years, right? It is the calculation, that is the mapping. His acceptance of the sound was due to his pure vision of the absolute nature of the Lord. And due to his correct vision, he made no distinction between the Lord and the Lord's instruction, right? The Lord's instruction and Lord are same. There is no difference between the Lord and the sound vibration coming from him. And even though he is not personally present, the best way of understanding is to accept such divine instruction. And Brahma, the prime spiritual master of everyone, is a living example of the process of receiving transcendental knowledge. The potency of the transcendental sound is never minimized because the vibrator is apparently absent. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or any revealed scripture in the world is never to be accepted as ordinary mundane sound without transcendental potency. Here, Prabhupada is comparing the tapa sound given by the Lord to him and the transcendental vibration of the sound that is equivalent to Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is swayam spoken by the Lord, which is, we have to consider it exactly like Lord. So there is no difference of him and his instruction. So we have to take it as an instruction and follow it like this, right? Like how Brahma is following, and Brahma is our creator. The secret of the success is to receive the sound from the right source of a bona fide spiritual master. Mundane manufactured sound has no potency, and such seemingly transcendental sound received from an unauthorized person has also no potency. It's also clearly said why. This explains why we have to, recite Hare Krishna Mahamantra than something else, because that is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya himself, and it has all the potency in the mantra. Mantra is non-different from Lord Krishna, and that has a potency. And how many times you utter it, the potency increases, and it's never mundane thing. You should not utter anything else other than this. This is the pure mantra that is given to us, that is very, very powerful. The 9th sloka, translation. The personality of Godhead, being thus very much satisfied with the penances of Lord Brahma, was pleased to manifest his personal abode, Vaikuntha, the supreme planet above all others. This transcendental abode of all of the Lord is adored by all self-realized persons, freed from all kinds of miseries and the fear of illusory existence. Right? So after 1,000 years of penances, the Lord was very pleased, and he wanted to show his Vaikuntha planet to Brahma. He wanted to manifest Vaikuntha for him. The personal abodes of the Lord, known as Vaikunthas, are neither mythical or nor material as conceived by the impersonalist. But realization of the transcendental abodes of the Lord is possible only through devotional service, and thus devotees enter into such abodes. Right? This is only perceived by pure devotees, undoubtedly only by them, because they realize through the devotional service. It is also explained that Yajnavalkya, he is the one who described this. Let me highlight this part here. Yeah, it is said that Yajnavalkya described, he is a Rishi, described the transcendental abode of the Lord to Gargi, and that the abode of the Lord is situated above the highest planet of the universe, namely Brahmaloka. So this is explained by Yajnavalkya, and it is explained that the Vaikunthas, there are many Vaikunthas, and the topmost Vaikuntha is Golok Vrindavan, and it is situated above the Brahmaloka, the topmost planet in this 14 planetary systems. This abode of Lord, although described in the revealed scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, remains only as a myth for less intelligent class of men. A lot of people say, oh, there is no Vaikuntha, there is nothing like that. But because they have less intelligence, they don't have that revelation, they don't have that fund of knowledge, right? So now 10th sloka, we are going to 10th one, translation. In that personal abode of the Lord, the material modes of ignorance and passion do not prevail, nor is there any of their influence of the goodness. There is no predominance of influence of the time, so what to speak of illusory external energy? It cannot enter that region. Without discrimination, both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotees. So how does the Vaikuntha look like? The material modes of ignorance and passion do not prevail. There is no passion, no ignorance there. Nor there is influence of any influence of the goodness, right? They are in Shuddha Sattva, they are in the pure goodness state there. And there is no influence of time. You know, the major difference between Vaikuntha Loka and our Loka is we are all influenced by the Kala. Kala asmin aham. Krishna says, in material world, he comes as Kala, but there is no influence of time in spiritual world, right? And there is, of course, there is no illusionary energy because it is the internal energy of the Lord, whereas the external energy is the illusion energy of the Lord, which creates the external, which creates the material world. And who worship the God there? Who worship the Lord? Both demigods and demons worship the Lord as devotees. Both of them are devotees of the Lord only. Here I'll read some lines. The kingdom of the God, or the atmosphere of Vaikuntha nature, is called Tripada Vibhuti, the 3 times bigger than the material universe, as described here. It is also explained in the previous chapters. I think Santosh Aditya Prabhu was telling that the size of the material world is 1/4 of the total creation of the Lord. So the size of spiritual world is 3/4, and the size of the material world is 1/4 of the whole creation of the Lord. So it's as very big when compared to the material world. The material world itself is inconceivable for us. There are multiverses, multiple universes everywhere, and there is Brahmandas in every universe. And what to think about a spiritual world? Right? It's so huge. And the inhabitants of the Vaikuntha planets are all Brahma Bhuta living entities. They're all in the Brahman platform, right? The whole situation there is one of the freedom from the illusionary manifestation of external energy. Although illusionary energy is also part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, illusionary energy is differentiated from the Lord. The illusionary energy is not, however, false, as claimed by most monistic philosophers. The rope accepted as a snake may be an illusion to a particular person, but the rope is a fact, and the snake is also a fact. The illusion of water in the hot desert may be illusion for the ignorant animal searching for the water in the desert, but the desert and water are actual facts. So, Prabhupada denies some of the misconceptions of the monistic philosophers when they talk about illusionary energy of the Lord, right? He says they claim that whatever is here, the rope, is accepted as a snake. It may be illusion, but the fact that rope and snake are both true is what is told here. And same as a mirage in the desert. I'll highlight some other parts so that we can see. Here, where is this? The Lord has his by the energy of the Lord and all. Here. The Lord has his internal energy also, which is also another creation of the creation known to be the Vaikuntha Lokas, where there is no ignorance, no passion, no illusion, and no past and present. With a poor fund of knowledge, one may be unable to understand the existence of such things as Vaikuntha atmosphere, but that does not nullify the existence. The spacecraft cannot reach these planets does not mean that there are no such planets, for they are described in the revealed scriptures. A lot of people say there is nothing because nobody can go there. That is because you cannot build a spacecraft to go there, right? We'll read this. In the Padma Purana, Uttarakanda, it is stated that beyond 1/4 part of God's creation, there is 3/4 manifestation. The marginal line between the material manifestation and the spiritual manifestation is called the Viraja river. And beyond the Viraja, which is transcendental current flowing from the perspiration of the body to the Lord, there is three-fourths manifestation of the God's creation. This part is eternal, everlasting, without deterioration, and unlimited. So it is also told in scriptures. The part that divides the material world, the 1/4 material world, spiritual world, is Viraja river. And one has to cross the Viraja river to attain the spiritual world. It is also explained in Garuda Purana, how the soul, goes to different planets and different, how it attains. It's also mentioned in Garuda Purana and also in Bhagavatam in more details in further cantos. Now, again, one more description. In the Agama Puranas also, the transcendental board is described as follows. The associated members are free to go anywhere, everywhere within the creation of the Lord, and there is no such limit to such creation, particularly in the region of the 3/4 magnitude. Since the nature of the region is unlimited, there is no history of such association, nor there is end of it. So the people who are in the 3/4 world, which is a spiritual world, they're free to go anywhere. Right? That's what it says. In other words, everything in the transcendental world is everlasting, full of knowledge and bliss without deterioration. Since there is no deterioration, there is no past, present, and future in the estimation of time. Yeah, here also more description about the spiritual world is here. There are no such actions and reactions of cause and effects there. So the cycle of birth, growth, existence, transformations, deterioration, annihilation, the 6 material energies are non-existent there. It is unalloyed manifestation of the energy of the Lord without illusion, as experienced here in the material world. The whole Vaikuntha existence proclaims that everyone there is a follower of the Lord. The Lord is the chief leader there without any competition for leadership. And the people in general are all followers of the Lord. It is confirmed in the Vedas, therefore, that the Lord is the chief leader and all the living entities are subordinate to him. For only the Lord satisfies all the needs of the living entities. So that is the pure Vaikuntha Loka for you. 11th sloka. The inhabitants of the Vaikuntha planets are described as having glowing sky bluish complexion. Their eyes resemble lotus flowers. Their dress is of yellowish color and their bodily features are very attractive. They are just the age of growing youths. They all have 4 hands. They are all nicely decorated with pearl necklaces with ornamental medallions, and they all appear to be effulgent. So this is explanation of how the inhabitants of the Vaikuntha planets look like. All of them are near to the Lord, right? So some people wanted to become look like Lord, Sarupya. They wanted Sarupya. So many people in the Vaikuntha planets look like the Lord, like the 4-handed form with bluish complexion, beautiful eyes, yellowish color, right? And everything very attractive, like Krishna. So they all get some little parts of how the Lord looks like in the spiritual world. More descriptions follows. 12th. Some of them are effulgent like coral and diamonds in complexion and have garlands on their heads, blooming like lotus flowers, and some wear earrings. Yeah, so that's how they look like. Let's go to 13. The Vaikuntha planets are also surrounded by various airplanes, all glowing and brilliantly situated. These airplanes belong to the greatest Mahatmas are devoted to the Lord. The ladies are as beautiful as lightning because of their celestial complexions. And all these combined together appear just like the sky decorated with both clouds and lightning. Right? As I told, the Vaikuntha planets are like 3/4, the huge, vast planets are there. So some of the Mahatmas and great saints there have airplanes to go around. And the damsels, the women in the spiritual world are so very beautiful, like lightning. And it is explained that, the sky, it looks like if you go there, it looks like the sky is decorated with both clouds and lightning. Clouds because the complexion of their bodies, and lightning because of the beautiful complexion they have. 14. The goddess of fortune in her transcendental form is engaged in the loving service of the Lord's lotus feet, and being moved by black bees, followers of spring, she is not only engaged in variegated pleasure service to the Lord along with her constant companions, but is also engaged in singing the glories of the Lord's activities. So Lakshmi Devi is engaged in serving the lotus feet of the Lord along with her associates in the spiritual planet, in the Vaikuntha planet. 15. Translation. Lord Brahma saw in the Vaikuntha planets the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the entire devotee community, the Lord of goddess of fortune, the Lord of all sacrifices, the Lord of the universe, and who is served by the foremost servitor like Narada, Sunanda, Prabala, and Arhana, his immediate associates. So, Lord gave the vision or manifested Vaikuntha planet in front of Brahma, and he could see all this and all his associates who are serving him, including Nanda. I said Narada. Sorry, Nanda, Sunanda. All these people are serving him very, very closely. Text 16. The personality of Godhead, seen leaning favorably towards his loving servitors, his very sight, intoxicating and attractive, appeared to be very much satisfied. He had smiling face decorated with enchanting reddish hue. He was dressed in yellow robes and wore earrings and a helmet in his head. He had 4 hands, and his chest was marked with the lines of the goddess of fortune. So, Prabhuji's Matajis, the Supreme Personality of Godhead's abode, the people who live in there, his servants, and himself have been beautifully and very detailed explained in Bhagavatam. It's that nobody has read it. That's the problem, right? So here it's very clearly talked. In Padma Purana, Uttarakhanda, there is a full description of the Yoga Pitha, our particular place where the Lord is in the audience to his external devotees. In that Yoga Pitha, the personification of religion, knowledge, opulence, and renunciation are all seated at the lotus feet of the Lord. The 4 Vedas, namely Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharva, are present and there personally to advise the Lord. The 16 energies are headed by the Chanda are all present there. Chanda and Kumuda are the first 2 doorkeepers. At the middle door, there are doorkeepers named Bhadra and Subhadra, and at the last door, there are Jaya and Vijaya. There are other doorkeepers also named Kumuda, Kumudaksha, Pundarika, Vamana, Sankukarna, Sarvanetra, Sumukha, etc. The Lord's place is well decorated and protected by above mentioned doorkeepers. So if you remember, in movies they show, right, the Lord is there and then there are a lot of doors open up. It is explained here. There are 3 doors, looks like. And then there are 2 each guarding each door. The first door by Chanda and Kumuda, second door by Bhadra and Subhadra, and third door by Jaya Vijaya, who are cursed by the Kumaras and who are born as, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, and so on, right? And there are more doorkeepers, it seems, right? They are named here. So beautifully detailed explained here. 17. The Lord was seated on his throne and was surrounded by different energies like the 4, the 16, the 5, and the 6 natural appearances, along with other insignificant energies of temporary character. But he was the factual Supreme Lord enjoying his own abode. So it's very clearly explained here where he is sitting and who is surrounding him and what is happening. The Lord is naturally endowed with his 6 appearances. Specifically, he is the richest. You know that, right? The 6 appearances he has. He's the richest, most powerful, most famous, most beautiful. He's the greatest in knowledge and greatest renounced as well. And for his mental creative energies, he's served by 4, namely Prakriti, Purusha, Mahatatva, and Ego. He's also served by 16, namely 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, and sky. 5 perceptive sense organs: the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. 5 working sense organs: the hand, the leg, stomach, and evacuation outlet, and the genitals, and the mind. The 5 include sense objects, namely form, taste, smell, and sound, and touch. All these 25 elements serve the Lord in the material creation, and all of them are personally present to serve the Lord. The insignificant appearances numbering 8, the Astasiddhis, attained by yogis for temporary overlordship, are also under his control, but he is naturally full with all such powers without any effort, and therefore he is the Supreme Lord. So all of them are serving the Supreme Lord. It's very clearly explained here. 18. The Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, was overwhelmed by joy within his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes filled with tears of love. He thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of highest perfection of living being, Paramhamsa. So what did the Lord Brahma do? Immediately he bowed down. Dandavat Pranam he did. What to speak of ourselves, right? So we should bow down to the Lord every day when we see him in the morning, right? And so we should bow down. We should serve him eternally, like the Lord Brahma. And he's a Paramhamsa. Brahmaji is a Paramhamsa. 19. After seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as is desired, and thus being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and slightly smiling addressed him thus. Mataji, this is the first handshake in the entire universe that happened. When Lord Brahma was present in front of the Lord and Lord has manifested in front of him, he went and shook his hands. It is clearly told here, Mataji. It is nothing else, only shaking hands happened here. The creation of and then he thought Brahma is apt to create the world, and he gave that benediction or the service to Lord Brahma. The creation of the material world is not blind or accidental. The living entities who are ever conditioned or Nitya-Baddhas are thus given a chance for liberation under the guidance of his own representative like Brahma, right? The Lord instructs Brahma in Vedic knowledge in order to diffuse this knowledge to the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are forgetful souls in their relation with the Lord, and thus a period of creation and the process of assimilation of Vedic knowledge is necessary activities of the Lord. Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned soul, and therefore is very dear to the Lord, right? So this is the origin of the creation of the material world. And when he saw Lord Brahma, he wanted Brahma to create the material world for all of us because we forgot him, and he wanted us to remember him and go back. And that's when Lord Brahma has given the knowledge of all the Vedas, and the Vedas are divided by the Veda Vyasa. He wrote Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita came into the picture, and all these are delivered to us, given to us, the conditioned souls, so that we go back to him. Anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shakes hands with him in great satisfaction. Prabhuji Mataji, get ready for a shake hand from Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since Lord Brahma did tapasya to him and he was so happy with Brahma, he shook hands with Brahma. Similarly, anyone who preaches in this sampradaya and helps others realize the real nature of their selves and preaches the authorized bhakti cult, he will come personally and shake hands. So be ready for that. Hare Krishna. 20. The beautiful personality of Godhead addressed Lord Brahma. O Brahma, impregnated with the Vedas, I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance and with desire for creation. Hardly I am pleased with the pseudo-mystics. O Brahma, I am very much pleased with you, only with you, not the pseudo-mystics. So, so there are two kinds of penances here, one for sense gratification and one for self-realization. So what did Brahma do here? Brahma did the penance for self-realization, not for sense gratification. There are many pseudo-mystics who undergo severe penances for their own satisfaction, and there are others who undergo severe penances for their satisfaction of the senses of the Lord. For example, the penances undertaken to discover nuclear weapons will never satisfy the Lord because such a penance is never satisfactory. By nature's own way, everyone has to meet death. And if such a process of death is accelerated by anyone's penance, there is no satisfaction for the Lord. The Lord wants every one of his parts and parcels to attain eternal life and bliss by coming home to Godhead, and the whole material creation is meant for the objective. Brahma underwent severe penances for that purpose, namely to regulate the process of creation so that the Lord might be satisfied. Therefore, the Lord was very much pleased with him, and for this Brahma was impregnated with Vedic knowledge. The ultimate purpose of Vedic knowledge is to know Lord and not to misuse the knowledge for any other purposes. Those who do not utilize Vedic knowledge for this purpose are known as Kuta yogis or pseudo transcendentalists who spoil their lives with ulterior motives. So we don't want to be that. We don't want to utilize our knowledge for mundane purposes. 21. I wish you good luck, O Brahma. You may ask from me, the giver of all benedictions, that all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction as a result of all penances is to see my realization. So it is the time he is asking. You can ask me anything you desire. I'm very pleased with you. Please go ahead and ask your benedictions. 22. The highest perfectional ingenuity is the personal perception of my abodes. And this has been possible because of your submissive attitude in the performance of the severe penances according to my order. So I told you, remember, you tried to search for me and I gave you the order of tapa, and you sincerely followed my sound vibration and did penances for 1,000 celestial years. That is, I'm very happy with that. This is what is Krishna is saying. The highest perfectional stage of life is to know the Lord by actual perception by the grace of the Lord. This can be attained by everyone who is willing to discharge the act of devotional service to the Lord as enjoined in the revealed scriptures and standard and accepted by bona fide acharya, spiritual masters. For example, the Bhagavad Gita is the approved Vedic literature accepted by many great acharyas such as Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladeva Vidyabhushan, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and many others. In that Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna asks that one always be mindful of him, always be his devotee, always worship him only, and always bow down before him. And by doing so, one is so sure to go back to home, back to Godhead without any doubt. In other places also, the same order is there, that one give up all the engagements and fully surrender unto the Lord without hesitation. And the Lord will give such a devotee all protection. These are the secrets of attaining the highest perfectional stage. Lord Brahma exactly followed these principles without any superiority complex, and thus he attained the highest perfectional stage of experiencing the abode of Lord and the Lord himself with all his paraphernalia. Impersonal realization of the effulgence of the Lord body is not the highest perfectional stage, nor the stage of Paramatma realization. The word Manisita is very significant. Everyone is falsely or factually proud of their so-called learning, but the Lord says the highest perfection of stage of learning is to know him and his abode, devoid of all illusion. Right? So, and this is revealed, the scriptures are revealed, and the Bhagavad Gita is approved by many acharyas, including Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all these people. And reading the scriptures, doing devotional service to him will make us away from the illusion and go back to Godhead. So this will be the last shloka for today. I'll stop at 23 and then leave the rest to Lovish Prabhu for tomorrow. So last shloka, 23. Translation. O sinless Brahma, you may know from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo penance when you were perplexed in your duty. Such penance is my heart and soul, and therefore penance and I are non-different. So Lord is telling, I ordered you to do penance and you did it, and the penance you did also is me. We are non-different. So tomorrow there will be more descriptions, and Brahma's reply we will see, and Brahma asks questions, and you will see the Chatishloki Bhagavatam tomorrow from 31 to 39, and conclusion disappears, and then Brahma starts creation. So we'll see that from tomorrow. So thank you very much, Prabhuji's Matajis, attending class today and listening to me and participating. Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam. Please forgive me if there are any mistakes, any supporting comments, any questions, anything that can help me also understand are welcome. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Prabhuji, very nice class. And Prabhuji, on 9.19, there's a species division, right? So human form is 4 lakhs, right? So
Yes,
what does
Prabhuji.
it mean, Prabhuji? What does it mean? What is that? These numbers?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, even in human forms, there are different kinds of human beings, Prabhuji. We are not the only kind. So it is explained that there are different types of human beings that are in different universes, right? Fundamentally, they are human beings, but there are different kinds, different types of human beings. That's what is explained, Prabhuji.
Is it the consciousness, Prabhuji?
Yeah, so same consciousness of human beings, but they look differently. You know, they have different. They are called human beings. They are called, maybe they have 2 legs like us, not like the animals who have 4 legs and their vertebrae are, you know, crossed. They're standing with 2 legs, but they're different forms with similar consciousness and similar intelligence as human beings.
Oh, so this 84 lakhs is not only for this material world, Prabhuji. This is for all the universes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All the planets.
Across all
Okay.
universes. There are many universes, and these are all spread across multiple universes. So your soul can transmigrate to other universe as well.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Understood. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji Mataji, any other questions, comments? I know it's already late. Sorry for taking a little bit more time.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your wonderful lecture.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
On the occasion of Sankranti, I'll give darshan of the Supreme Lord.
Sure, yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Let me pin your.
Radha Gopi Vallabha are blessing all the families on Sankranti.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. For beautiful darshan, wonderful darshan.
Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki jai.
Radha Gopi Vallabh, Shri Gaur Nitai. May all the families, Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Swami Prahlad Maharaj.
Hari Bol.
Gomata.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Smarani. And the whole Guru Varga. Thank you, Prabhuji, for continuing the lineage of lectures and the Srimad Bhagavatam classes. I'm very grateful to all families who are attending, and a very, very, very happy, auspicious, joyful, and good health-driven year ahead. So happy Sankranti to all the families, and may we do wonderful services by the next Sankranti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Happy Sankranti to you and your family. And thank you for giving us a service and opportunity, Prabhuji. And as explained exactly in this 23 verses, that's what you are giving us the opportunity to do, and not roam here and there and doing nonsensical things. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So whoever wants to come to Goshala can come. I might be leaving to Goshala now.
Hare
So doing some small Go Puja, and this is Sankranti. Whoever cannot come, that's okay. I'm anyway going to do on your behalf. But if you can put a little effort and come today or tomorrow, it's a wonderful thing to worship cows and spend time with cows during Sankranti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, everybody.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.